Welcome to the kingdom. I'm Chris, and this is Good Enough Gaming. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the kingdom for this unscripted video on Warhammer Old World. I apologize, I totally whiffed it on making one for the movement phase when it came out here. It's been a busy couple of weeks here. I just haven't been able to keep on top of things. But since they talked about the shooting phase today, I thought I'll just do them both in one. So first thing I wanted to, let's see, when I was looking at the page here, I love the picture here. Very colorful, very cool. I like it a lot. Again, I don't remember if these came in some of the older books, if this is just a reprinting or if this is new art. But two things about this. One, this is the reason I love Bretonnia. They're so cool to look at. And the other thing, this is the reason I will never collect Bretonnia. I do not have the patience, nor I'm not sure if I got the skill to paint so many different knights in such different colors and barding and the checkerboard patterns and all that. I mean, look at the fleur-de-lis on this, the black and yellow knights here. That is absolutely gorgeous, but that, unless it's a transfer, I'm not painting that. So, lovely to look at. I'll let those better than I take care of that. But anyways, let's move on to some of the movement here. So one of the things I thought about and was wondering about, they have confirmed that among formations, they're bringing back the lance, at least for the Bretonnians. Everyone else is either going to be in a nice big blob, you know, a solid block, or in skirmish order. Pretty standard from before. What I thought was interesting here, though, is how they're defining a marching column versus combat order, as they call it, or, you know, a battle line. And they're not specifying necessarily a specific number of models. They're just saying it has to be more ranks than files. Or sorry, more files than ranks. So it's basically, it's wider than it is deep. And that's kind of interesting. Because previously, I remember in other editions, you had to have X number of models in your front rank. And then it would be a double unit if it had more than that, and so on and so forth. Whereas now, they're just saying it has to have more models across the frontage than ranks at the back. And they still specify that the very, very back rank might not be a full rank. So that I found kind of interesting. I don't know if it was a way to maybe just speed up unit building, that when you're putting stuff on the table, you don't have to worry of, do you have this many models? Instead, you can make whatever size unit you want, just as long as it's wider than it is deep. Otherwise, it's in marching column. So I thought that was kind of interesting. The other change I noticed here looking through this has to do with charging. Where is it here? Ah, here it is. So when you're charging, I remember it used to be you rolled 2 dice, and that was it. Whatever you rolled, that's what you got. Now it's you roll 1 dice, and you add that to a movement rule. So there's kind of a guaranteed distance you're going to make. So there is a point which you can get a guaranteed charge. But there's still a chance that you won't make the charge, and if you don't, they kept that rule where the unit will move that far and then stop, which was always, I mean, anyone who played fantasy remembered that nightmare where you rolled for the long bomb hoping to get it, you failed, and you brought yourself in a nice counter charge range, and it was basically like, well, sayonara to that unit. So that's definitely a carryover from the previous one. Slight change, though not entirely huge. I could get the frustration of having like a 4-inch charge and failing it because you rolled snake eyes. Whereas now, if you're a fast unit and you have a 4-inch charge, it's pretty much guaranteed. So that was pretty interesting. The other thing, coming over here to what they released today with shooting. So most of what they have here looks pretty much what I had before. Some of these special rules might be a little bit different. It's been a while since I played fantasy, so I can't remember. But they're bringing back the old ballistic skill. They're not doing the just 2+ hit, 3+ hit. And okay, I can get the nostalgia. The downside is the math here is not too hard. It's the same as it was before. The total equals 7. So whatever you have to roll plus your number should equal 7. That's how you know what you got to roll to hit. They're bringing in a lot more with this ballistic skill of 6 or higher, and the to-hit score of 6 or higher, which they mention in the paragraph underneath here, where if you need a 7 to hit, you roll first, what is it? You need to roll like a 6, what is it there? And then followed up by something else. Yeah, a natural 6 followed by a 4, 5, or 6. So, I don't know, that seems like it can bog stuff down if there's too much re-rolling. But at the same time, I see they're trying to go with what was there before. So, okay, I don't know. I guess I'd have to play a few games to see if it feels really cumbersome or if it really brings back that, that nostalgia factor. What I don't understand, and this is something that they started doing when they released that new version of Apocalypse that crashed and burned, just switch to D12s. Just do it. It allows you to keep all of the mathematics that you have, all of the rolls, everything you have, just double everything and then adjust accordingly. So you could have this to hit chart right here in front of you without the need for this second BS of 6 or higher. Just use a D12 and say you need to roll slightly higher on the die. It's not that difficult, but I guess we're just married to the D6, and so there it is. So, all right, there's my slight rant. Moving on. Bringing back the wound chart. Again, very, very nostalgic. I'm not sure I'm a huge fan. One of the biggest things that I loved about the switch to 8th edition and 40K was just simplifying the strength and toughness dynamic. I don't like what they did all the way in Sigmar, where it's a specified roll to hit and to wound. I always thought it was weird that, a goblin with a pig sticker, yeah, it wounded another goblin on a 5+, but it also wounded a dragon on a 5+. That just seemed wrong to me. I like the idea that your strength and toughness affects your ability to cause a wound. The hit skill, that's definitely related just to the creature doing the attack, but the wound should be some kind of interplay between the two. I don't know if I like the wound chart here, because I was looking over it to see, did they just basically take the new Warhammer 40K wound dynamic and put it on a table, and no, they didn't. Because if you look down here, 3 strength and 3 toughness, that's a 4. That would make sense. If your strength is a little bit higher, it's a 3. If your strength is a little lower, it's a 5. So far, no big deal. But you get to a 6+ to hit at strength 3, toughness 5. Whereas according to the 40K dynamic, it's once it's double, so you'd have to be up to here. So what this means is, once again, when you're playing the game, you either memorize this table or you have it handy. And every time you're rolling something, you got to look up the table and consult. There is no just nice basic formula where you can remember it intuitively. It's just a table you have to consult. Because if we come over here to the 2s, 2 on 2 is a 4. If you go up 1 in strength, it goes to 3. Down 1 in strength, it goes to 5. And it doesn't go up to 6 until you double it. So that's the new system. The 3, it doesn't work that way. The 4, it doesn't work that way. So, I don't know, maybe it works. Maybe there is a rhythm to it. I just need to stare at it. Maybe if it's color-coded, it would make more sense to me. But one of the things I really liked about 8th edition is when they got rid of the charts here. It was really a pain having to constantly look up charts. Now, at least there isn't, at least so far, there isn't a to-hit chart and a to-wound chart. That could be coming. We get the combat phase release in a little bit here, so we don't know that yet. But I wonder if they're going to bring that back too. And one of the things that really bogged down a game was constantly looking up charts. So while I definitely get the old nostalgia, feel good about what it used to be factor, I think this might slow things down. I'm not super excited about it. Another thing I figured they were going to do, it's confirmed right here, magic is now shooting, or at least certain spells are magic. So they're doing with magic in fantasy what they just did with 10th edition 40K. Magic is spread out into different phases depending on what kind of a spell it is, rather than having that dedicated magic phase where you try and set up the turn and then go through your movement and shooting and so on and so forth. So I think it's, I don't know, I know some people really don't like it. Magic doesn't feel like magic anymore. It's just abilities and attacks, and I kind of understand that. Although here there is still the idea of a casting value. It's not just a simple you have a fireball and you roll to hit. So they're keeping it a little. So I guess I'd have to play this a little bit out if I see whether I like it, whether it feels like a magic phase or whether we're just adding extra attacks and bonuses and things of that nature. Okay, so while I do my little summary here, let's go back to something prettier to watch here. Let's go back to this picture. I like this picture. So while I'm looking over these rules, what they've told us so far in all the different phases, and one of the things I'm noticing is this is rule-wise super similar to what used to be in fantasy. I mean, it's 80-85% is just straight up the old rules brought back, which makes me wonder what on earth has taken them so long to re-release this. Okay, they have to get the new models, new sculpts. I get that to a degree, but 4 years to do all these sculpts? I mean, I have no idea how much production the factory in Nottingham can produce. And granted, they do have to produce all the models for all the games, but maybe that's a sign that GW needs to open another factory. Because if the rules are what they are here, they could have released this game a year after they announced it. And they could have said, hey, use your old models, here are some temporary rules to use Sigmar models, something like that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they wanted to gear up for a great big release, but there's also those rumors that there wasn't going to be a starter box with 2 armies. Instead, there would be army boxes that you can start with, but not quite the same thing. So it just seems like I don't know what their thinking is here. Why did you need 4 years to basically give us the rule set that we already had, minus a few changes, and use the models we're already using, and then they can just release new stuff, like the new Bretonians here, kind of like in 10th edition, they will release new models for armies as the game and as the year goes on. So who knows what lurks in the minds of GW. It's just, I'm looking at this thinking, they're just re-releasing what it used to be. Okay, I can hear myself, I'm starting to ramble here. So what do you think? Has your opinions changed about this at all? Are you excited for it? Do you not really care about it? Are you going to try Kings of War or something different for your rank and flank fix? One-page rules regiments? Who knows? Let me know down in the comments. Until then, that's the end of this unscripted video. I'm not super crazy about this coming out, but I'm still intrigued. I still think what we're looking at here is good enough.